Welcome back. We are taking a look at my round 3 of my recent over the board tournament. We are currently 1.5 out of 2, looking to make that 2.5 out of 3. And we have the white pieces. This was a very fun and interesting game, and I'm very excited to show you. Of course, we play e4. Now, our opponent's name is Nico. It is a younger fellow. I don't know how old. But I would guess like 13, 14. He was young. Maybe even younger than that. I'm not 100% sure. But by his mannerisms, he just seemed young. We got e4, e5. So I go knight c3 because I'm a Vienna player. Even if it's over the board, more time, I'm still going to play it. I'm still going to play the gambit. And it's just not going to change for a little while. We got knight c6. And, you know, of course, we're going to play bishop c4. And this is where, black can make their decision. Do they want to put the bishop, or do they want to put the knight out? Do they want to bring the bishop out? Or do they want to play the copycat? And this is what Nico played against me. And I was like, yes, yes. I was like, all right, this is going to be a fun game because I'm going to have lots of time to think. And if you don't know what you're doing as black in this position, you're not going to have a fun time. So I go queen g4, but it's actually funny. I picked up my queen and I went, boop, and I put my queen on g5. And dude just looks at me like, what's wrong with you? I was like, oh, can't do that. Yeah, because I was just so excited to play queen g4, but I went like this. I went boom, hanging my queen in one move, but it's not legal. And I don't know how that would actually work in a real tournament. Well, this was a real tournament, but like if a professional player did that, what would happen? If any of you guys know in the comments, let me know. I'm actually kind of curious because I took the queen and I placed it on g5, which is not a legal move. So I made an illegal move. But anyways, I'm just blabbling. So I play queen g4 and my opponent doesn't really hesitate much and plays queen f6. And this is the start of a very fun opening for white. I played knight d5, and my opponent is like kind of confused. I could tell that he was not familiar with this position just by the way that, he responded to knight d5. Now keep in mind, I'm not even thinking here. I'm just moving because I know this position. And yeah, he is kind of like confused. So of course he plays queen f2 check without thinking too much. He's like, oh, did dude just blunder? Like, I play king d1, and now is when he starts to think. And this is how you know when somebody is like, oh, this is actually not that great. Because you play a move like queen takes f2 check, forcing king d1, and you're like, oh, this cannot be good for white. So now he's kind of like realizing my threats. There's a knight check. There's this. Like you just, it's hard to deal with it all. And so he takes a little think. He was probably thinking for like, I don't know, maybe 3, 4, 5 minutes, something like that. It wasn't like majorly wrong, but just like he was shaking his head a little bit. And finally he plays king f8, which is the only move, really. Everything else is losing, essentially. Like this opening is insanely hard to play. And luckily for me, I know the theory here. You play knight h3, attacking the queen here. The queen's gonna go here at some moment. I don't know what that was, but my heart just started racing really quickly. Let's hope that I don't have a heart attack mid-recording. Jokes aside, it's fine. So yeah, after knight g3, I think there's a line where he goes here, but I think you have to play this first, and then you attack my queen. Anyways, he goes here. Oh, okay. Yes, yes, yes. So you have to play h5 first. h5, and now I move the queen, and then queen d4, and now I think after here you play this, and then I go here, and we play a position like this. Because he needed to move the queen so that it doesn't get, or the bishop so the queen doesn't get trapped. Of course, if he plays something like this, we go here, and now the queen is trapped because, wait, is it trapped? Here, here, here? Yeah, the queen is trapped. Base, wait, what? There's a better move. Bishop e3. Oh, there's also this. Then this. Is that the way? No. And then a4? What? I guess the queen is desperately trapped. b4. Knight takes d5. Knight takes d5. Wait, what? d5. Knight takes d5. Oh, right here. I can't see. Takes. That doesn't happen. Point is, after king f8, you have to play h5 to kick the queen. I don't really understand the idea, but we know we go here. And then the queen's going to move. So that's not played. Instead, we have queen to d4, and now we play d3. And there's a threat on the board here, which is c3. c3 traps the queen. This is kind of the whole point of this opening. And he makes a huge mistake here. He plays d6, attacking my queen. All right? Makes sense. And we just move. Apparently going queen h4 is better. We just go here. And now he moves. He makes room. What he had to do is take here, I guess. And then takes. And then he's got this square. We actually talked about this, but this is a good learning experience for me because he knew this line. But this is bad for him, apparently. Apparently we just go here. But then here. And c3. Check. King c1 is the only move. c6. And then you jump in. I'm not going to lie, this looks terrifying for white. Why would you sacrifice? Pardon? Oh, the knight's attacked. If you go here, you just take. You go here, you just take anywhere as it goes, I guess. b5? This is crazy. Let's say that they do this. Bishop e3 is the move. He takes. Bro. You're letting this happen in this line? This is insane. This is actually insane. Why not just attack? Wait, what would they play here? g6. What about just developing? Oh, but then there's queen check. So I guess that makes sense. Making room. Oh, you can't go here, you dummy. What if you go here? King up. I mean, the whole point would be to go here. This looks pretty good. Okay, so this opening is so tricky for both sides. I very well could have got myself into a lot of trouble here, but at least I would have more time to think about it. And yeah, we got bishop b6. You don't want to take here. because the whole point is to try and trap the queen. So we got c3. And yeah, in this, he was so flustered after c3, like ridiculously flustered. And I was kind of like, oh wow, did he just trap his queen? And guess what? You're dang right he did. I took some time in this position, and I didn't come up with the best move. I ended up just taking with the knight. I saw that I can take with the pawn, but I was looking at this and I was like, can't he just move the queen somewheres? And like, I don't know. I didn't like the pressure here. I didn't like splitting the pawns. So, you know, we took with the knight. And then he took here. And I took with the pawn because I was like, oh, you didn't see anything. I took with the pawn here because I was like, if I take with the queen, it maybe come in. And then there's, I don't know. It just, I didn't want to allow that. I didn't want anything coming and attacking my queen or my king because my king's relatively weak. So I took with the pawn. I realized that I was creating some weakness here, but I was like, we're just up a piece. He develops, kind of have to. I'm threatening to go rook f1 and there'd just be so many problems here. Now I did see a tactic here. Let's say that I make a lazy move. I mean, not that because that just loses piece, but I did see this tactic where, you know, he's winning the piece back. But apparently this just doesn't work because we have a checkmate threat. Even if he gets this, we go king c2, king f2 check. We have to take, and takes, and we're still up a piece. Anyways, I just protect. I didn't want to allow the tactic, so we did that. And then he played queen f2, and I was like, bro, how are you about to trade queens in this position? Now we go rook f1. He goes here. I go knight d5 because I'm happy with trades. He pushes, forcing me to take. Then he takes, and we play h4 here. If you take, we have this. And you don't want to allow that. So you don't take here. He goes a4, a5. And I was like, okay, so he wants this. I could play a4 right now, but I could also just go here, which is what I play. And apparently this isn't great. But, you know, I figured if he goes here, we'll be fine. We can just, like, go back. Instead, he brings the king up, protecting. He didn't want to double his pawns. And now we go a4, stopping his idea. He plays h6, just attacking the bishop. Very, very reasonable move. So we take. He takes. And then I go king e2. I mean, you look at this position. Oh, also, I forgot to mention something. I think it was right here. It was like, it was somewhere around this time. Dude offered me a draw. I was like, no. Heck no, dude. I didn't say that, but I just kind of looked at him and I was like, no. He was so visibly upset with himself. Understandably, I mean, you go to an over the board tournament, and then on move 8 or whatever it was, you trap your queen. Like this, it's super upsetting. We go bishop g5. He plays king up. And now we go a4, h6, and we just chop, play king up, and he takes the open file. And now it's kind of like, okay, how do we convert this? Because I was like, okay, we have the extra bishop. He's got a lot of pawns. They can be very strong. And we have the weaknesses on the H file. So I was like, first, let's stop the infiltration, rook f2. Because allowing this check wouldn't have been a great idea, I don't think. Plus, I want to double up and attack his weakness. He brings the rook to g4, which attacks the pawn. And I was like, okay, do we want to go here? He just goes here. So I was like, that's pointless. Let's just bring the other rook. Now, the computer says rook b1 is the best move. But I was like, rook b1, he's just going to go here. And I didn't really see a follow-up. But I did look at like a rook b1 here and here. I looked at something like this, but I thought, okay, he's just going to move the pawn. And now the bishop is significantly worse. So I didn't do that. I chose to just double up. He brings the rook to the f file, protecting this pawn, because after takes, this pawn would be very, very weak. So rather than doing this and taking, which in this case, I was probably going to just block. Takes, and I was like, okay, if he goes here, maybe we just bring the king or go after the pawn or something. I don't know. I don't entirely know what I was going to do here, but technically material is back to equal. Yeah, so rook here. Now we take. He gives a check, and I go here, and then he takes on h2, and I was like, oh, did we blunder? For a second. And then I was like, oh, no, we just take on h6. And then he trades rooks, plays rook b8. I was like, okay, so he's going to push. No biggie. We just go here. And after he goes b5, I just take the pawn he takes, and then we just go rook d5. And I was like, okay, we're fine here. If he wants to go be passive here, he can. But I have an outside pass pawn. So does he, but I'll be able to just trade it off. Or I'll be able to take it. He goes here. I give a check first, because I was... Why wouldn't you just take with check first? And so I thought he had to go here. But I guess then you might have some kind of check. No, never mind. That was very, very bad. The bishop's protecting the rook. I wouldn't have played that. But I thought he had to go here to stop any kind of rook trade, because this pawn is too far advanced. If I trade the rooks successfully, then I'm just gonna win. And so after check, he actually goes here, and I was like, oh, really? Check, king here, takes, he takes, and then I take the pawn, and he can't get through, and I just push the pawn. And I make a queen. He brings the king in. I go queen c8. I'm threatening some checkmates. He takes. I give check. And after taking this with check, I was like, all right. He just wants to stalemate now. I was like, if I just move the bishop, well, I take the pawn first, I guess, but I was like, if I just move all the pieces out of the way, I'll never stalemate, and I can just checkmate with the queen and king. Obviously, it's not the most efficient way. I probably should get into the habit of, the most efficient way, which would have been to just move the queen down. But, oops. Oh my gosh. The most efficient way here, by far, would have been to go like this. And if the king moves, let's say king b2, bishop d5, I guess is the move, and then king e3 has to go all the way back, and then king d3, king moves, and checkmate. But instead, I go ahead, just make sure there's no stalemate. I play queen d2. Now the king can only go king b1, king a1, and this is an easy win. You just walk the king over, and yeah, I checkmate my opponent. He actually played the whole thing out. So, you know, he kept moving his king back and forth, maybe hoping for a stalemate, but we made sure we did not stalemate. And we got the win, which means that we are 2.5 out of 3, looking for another amazing tournament performance. My last tournament I played at, I went 3.5 out of 4, tying for first place. And yeah, this I believe will put me, it puts me in around like second place, I think, because I think another person has 3 out of 3, but I could be completely wrong. I'm not 100% sure. And yeah, it was a very fun game to play over the board. And make sure you tune in for round 4, where we will be taking a look at the game to see if I can take home first place and achieve a score of 3.5 out of 4. Also, we're going to take a look at the rating increase, because we're obviously going to gain rating. I mean, we're 2.5 out of 3 right now. We're not going to be losing any. So yeah, make sure you tune in for that. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to drop a like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you in round 4.